The research question being presented throughout this video is what type of classroom provides more success to students, online classes or the traditional classroom? Both types of classrooms have their pros and cons, and students' academic performance depends on the type of classroom they are participating in. In this video, we will show you the research process and how it was used to present this topic, the advantages and disadvantages of both types of classrooms, then finally discuss the academic performance of students. Now let's get into it. Starting with Phase 1, this is the essential first steps. Here we had to narrow in on what we want to research. We knew we wanted to do something within the topic of education, but what? Since all members in this video are currently in an online class, we decided to narrow in on whether online classes or traditional classes are more beneficial. We decided to choose qualitative as the research design, and for the analysis plan, we decided to explore the advantages, disadvantages, and academic performance for both types of classrooms. Now that we have established everything we needed to in Phase 1, we entered Phase 2.
Phase 2 is where the data collection happens. In this phase, we did secondary research to collect data on the advantages and disadvantages of both online and traditional classes, as well as the academic performance of students in each classroom. You will see how the data is organized later on in the video when the subtopics are discussed. In Phase 3, we analyzed and interpreted the data. We made sure that everything collected related back to the research question. Next, we made the conclusion that both types of classrooms provide unique pros and cons, and the way a classroom benefits a student all depends on the field of study and the type of student you are. Now, when it comes to limitations, the limits were strictly just students who attend university or college. Now, to make suggestions for further research, our group would suggest to narrow in on one population, for example, students who attend Algonquin College. Now that you're informed of the process of how data was collected, we now present to you the results.
To begin, there are advantages for both online and traditional classrooms. The advantages of online classes are that having online classes allows a student to manage their time online the way they want to. Being able to do so will benefit the student's future career opportunities because during the time taking online courses, a student is able to incorporate more hours in a job. In a survey conducted by the Learning House, 4% of online students reported improvements in their employment standing, for example, by obtaining a full-time job within 12 months of graduation. The cost of online courses are tuition, possible book fees, an application fee, etc. And compared to a traditional classroom, online learners do not pay the cost of housing, transportation, and more. This means lower debts. The advantages of traditional classes are that being able to bring real-world learning into the classroom, giving a more hands-on lesson to the classroom. This allows for interactive practice of skills and focusing on essential elements of a real problem and/or system. And traditional classes provide a student with better learning outcome due to the fact that it is easier for online learning students to cheat since there's no professor present.
With every advantage comes a disadvantage, which is something both types of classrooms possess. At school, students learn how to make friends, be patient, get rid of disappointment, and especially to compete. Competition between colleagues can be very stimulating for students. Online learning cannot offer human interaction. Another disadvantage is the fact that online courses cannot cope with thousands of students that try to join discussions. Online learning can be difficult if students don't possess self-discipline. Disadvantages for traditional classrooms include spoon-feeding. Students are always dependent on their teachers in every study-related matter. Another disadvantage to traditional classrooms is that students get indulged in negative groups. The negative group destroys students' academics and affects their personality. These negative factors are nurturing without being noticed. Also, physical classrooms are costly. Moreover, the course books and other school things are quite expensive. Parents and students have to face difficulty in paying tuition fees and other expenses for the student to attend school for classes. Overall, both types of classrooms present their own advantages and disadvantages. So now let's get into what type of classroom students prefer.
Now that you know the pros and cons of both types of classrooms, what do students really prefer?
With changing student lifestyles and fast-developing technology, university and colleges are increasingly offering more flexible learning environments, whether it be e-learning or classes with increasingly online components. The rise of e-learning has helped to encourage students to take on more responsibility for their own acquisition of knowledge, but recent studies have shown that students actually prefer to learn in a traditional classroom atmosphere. In these studies, results have exhibited that marks do not differ enough to say which experience is actually best for your GPA, However, students have agreed that they value online classes more for a convenience perspective by doing assignments and readings when they have time. Although at a knowledge stance, face-to-face learning is an optimal choice for about 80% of students, explaining they feel that they get immediate attention so they can have questions or concerns they have answered instantly. In conclusion, I would suggest that the new style of mixed classes with online assessments are the ideal learning preference by the vast majority of students that are currently attending post-secondary education.